Well, breaking news, the jury has reached a partial verdict in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial. I'm Andrew Rafferty, and this is happening now in America. The jurors telling the judge that they cannot agree on that racketeering conspiracy charge, that there were jurors with, quote, unpersuadable views on both sides. Scripps News national correspondent Alex Miller was just inside the courthouse. Alex, break it down for us. What is going on right now?
Well, first of all, Sean Combs completely despondent as this entire thing unfolded. He looked more upset than I have seen him throughout this entire trial. He is dressed in all cream color. He sat straight up in the back of his seat, but hunched over at the same time, almost making himself look small. He had his head looking at the ground for the majority of this. When the jury came in, he did look at them for a period of time, but he just looked incredibly upset as all of this was being discussed. They also had his children behind him, his children all dressed in black. They were huddled together in the second row there. Very easy to pick them out as they watched really nervously to hear what was going to happen. Now, again, as you just mentioned, that first count, the most complex count of them all, that racketeering charge, they say they cannot come to a conclusion on, but they have been able to come to a decision on the other 4 counts. There are 2 sex trafficking counts dealing with Cassie Ventura and his most recent girlfriend, Jane, obviously not her real name, and also the transportation to engage in prostitution, also dealing with those 2 women, and sex escorts as charge. The judge has said they need to go back and continue deliberating, even though they have a difference of opinion right now. The discussion in the courtroom between the 2 sides was essentially, how long do we wait on this? The prosecution really wanted to tell the jury that they would essentially retry the case if they did not come to a conclusion on this. The defense did not want them to do that. The judge agreeing with them on that, but talking specifically about the need to work further towards this decision. So all of this was discussed, obviously, without the jury present. That's really the most important part, where we saw Sean Combs looking so upset through this entire process. And then when they brought the jury back in, he told them they needed to continue deliberating, that he was going to send them back into the jury room, but he gave them an out, at least for the evening, saying if you feel done for the day, you can send us a note and you can go home then. So that is exactly what has happened here tonight. So despite the fact, Andrew, that we have 4 out of 5 counts decided, we will not know what those counts, the decisions on those counts are, until we have a verdict on all 5.
Okay, so at the risk of making you repeat yourself, because we did lose you a time there, we don't know what those verdict, actual guilty, not guilty are, the ones that the jury decided. This jury is gone for the day, and so they come back tomorrow, and is it just that they keep working on that first one? The judge basically said, hey, we're almost there, guys. Please keep working to get a resolution for this first count.
Yeah, they have to come back tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp. They will be back in that deliberation room working towards a decision. Now, it'll be interesting to find out when all of this is over what the holdup was on this. Remember, there's a lot to have to pick through here. You have to have 2 people, including Sean Combs, committing 2 crimes over the course of 10 years. They have to be part of this enterprise that the prosecution has tried to establish. They have to find that he either did things like kidnapping, arson, transportation to engage in prostitution, sex trafficking, which obviously those are other charges as well, distribution of controlled substances. There are 8 in total that he has to work through, or that the jury really has to work through. So that's what he sent them back for. But we are butting up against the July 4th holiday. When we were having jury selection almost 2 months ago, the judge said this would be wrapped up by then. So there's a big question mark on what is exactly going to happen. Now you think, okay, today is Tuesday. Why are we worrying about Friday? Well, the court is technically supposed to be closed on Thursday as well. So there was a lot of back and forth between the 2 sides about whether they're even going to tell the jury that if they don't come to a conclusion tomorrow, that they might have to come in either Thursday or Monday. The defense saying, let's not discuss that with them until the end of the day tomorrow. Just in the event that they come to a conclusion tomorrow, we don't need to worry them or give them this false sense of urgency. before they need it. And so they're hoping essentially that they'll come to a conclusion tomorrow so that they don't have to work through either the day off on Thursday, where there's a lot of logistics that have to be decided because the court is supposed to be closed, or they're going to have to come back after this 4th of July recess. But again, as you noted there, just this first count that they're going to have to come to the decision on. The 4 counts they have already decided, but we will not learn those until they make a decision, or if they come back and say 1 or 2 more times that they are hung on this particular charge. So the judge clearly thinks that it hasn't been enough time. Remember, they deliberated Friday, Monday, Tuesday. It's not that long in the grand scheme of things. That's why the judge sending them back there. But again, Sean Combs looking completely despondent as this entire situation unfolded, looking more stressed, more anxious than I have ever seen him look before, dressed in this cream outfit, really shrinking himself in his chair. His children just 2 rows behind him, looking nervous and anxious as well.
All right, everything's shaping up. It seems to be a really big Wednesday where you are. Scripps News national correspondent Alex Miller, thank you for breaking it all down in this really complex case when it comes to what this jury is actually deliberating. I know you will be with us when that verdict ultimately comes down.